Yeah, it's debatable to think, but it was really, really narrow enough to a point where there was everybody that's around right now. Yeah, everyone that's around right now has, again, a lot less diversity than like chimpanzees do. So you can have two groups of chimpanzees in the same neighborhood.
This is really bothering me.
We came close.
No, because they're... All right, so
that's why there's not a lot of variety amongst people.
Yeah, but think... All right, this is where I'm going with it. Think about all of the different stories that are passed on that talk about this. There's Cain and Abel.
Yes.
There's the flood.
That's it.
There's
because you can narrow down our humanity to a bottleneck of like people where we took it hard.
Yeah,
so this is the podcast that I want to have.
Okay, well I'm making recordings.
But I'm talking about dystopia.
Yeah.
Like that story, it continues to. It's a very whatever it was that happened is so strong that it
instinctually we know it happened and we know it can happen again.
And it's encoded.
Yeah. So like for example,
that's
if you look at also because it's also because like. Collectively, we have our own story, and I know that a lot of stories get lost over the cultures being changed as far as with power. But you're right about the underlying thematical subject matters of a lot of ancient stories. But a part of it, aside from what the truth was for sure of these stories, one thing though that needed an explanation, and maybe some of these stories help fill that void. Not all the situations, but one thing. Every single area before humans migrated to them used to have large land animals.
What they call megafauna.
Megafauna is correct. Us not having any more megafauna.
Not here anymore.
Yeah. So what kind of stories, if that was on a collective memory of something that like was with you for thousands of years? Here's another thing that's kind of interesting too. This is like a fun fact, more like to piggyback on what we're talking about. Cleopatra, the distance between Cleopatra and the smartphone is less than the distance between her and when the pyramids were built.
Yes.
So she had no idea how they were built either.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, because
I don't countless other.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want to dig into that too much, but there are discussions.
Ben Carson's right. There were grain silos.
Well, no. Here's what's more. I think more right. Right now, if you ask most people, they cannot tell you how smartphones work. Not really. It might still be magic to them.
That's true.
It might still be magic to it. So the average. Same thing with the internet. Right, exactly.
But like going back to the whole like. The idea of the different stories. So I've been digging into like African mythology and reading about that and learning a lot of really cool. That's Indian and yeah. I've been reading a lot of really cool things. So I've been reading about Isis, Horus, Osiris, blah, blah, blah. And the stories are.
African.
Huh?
Do you know what the oldest one is?
No, I don't.
The Epic of Gilgamesh.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, the Epic of Gilgamesh.
But,
and it's interesting the underlying story of it, though.
Yeah.
I mean, anything could have been the first story.
Everybody
you would think.
starts with the world was in darkness.
Also,
humanity has this.
Also, a thematic thing about death too.
Yeah.
Like almost like a way of how to explain it. Because what's it called? Have you seen the TV show Cosmos with Neil deGrasse Tyson? There's this one line.
I like how you pronounce his name in one syllable. That's okay.
Neil deGrasse Tyson?
I heard Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Well, yeah, he has a long name.
Okay.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
NDT, baby. NDT.
What's it called? There was this one line that he said that humanity was like a baby. Collectively. Yeah. Well, we know a little bit more about how the world works now than how we thought that the world worked. Yeah. Early.
But,
so when people died, a baby would tell another baby, "Hey, this is what I think."
Yeah.
You know, because no one, we still don't, I mean, we're still in that kind of boat now, a little bit. Can you imagine way back then? What do you think? I don't know. What do you think? That sounds good. We're going to go with that one.
And like, interesting thing amongst all the philosophies, theologies, mythologies, whatever, all the explanations and religious and philosophical systems, they kind of all have three things in common.
Yeah.
They say that, hey, there's something wrong with us.
Yep.
It's weird. Like,
Mhm.
everyone
I agree.
assumes there's something wrong with us. 2, we don't have to stay that way.
Mm-hmm.
And 3, if they don't explicitly say this, there's sort of this underlying implication that we didn't used to be that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, now
It's
a part of it might be that telling a story is easier to remember.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a big part.
Yeah, that's
So if you're gonna like even
Oh,
if you're gonna go ahead and remember like the names of the planets, you're gonna have to throw it in a little like sentence or whatever like so there, I believe that maybe there are certain historical events that needed to get passed down, but passing out down to the story was the best method to do it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the best way for you to transmit information.
Allegorize.
And we
Yeah,
came
and
from
so
such
that's
and we
where I
came
was
since
going.
we came from such a small group at one point.
Yeah. So so do you
So
remember the
basically
planet?
something happened, everyone got around like, okay guys, we done goofed.
Or what it is, it could be like, let's say there was a point where, at the time, you felt more as uncontrolled about your future as the grass has over its future perceivably. Like during the time where you're just kind of a victim to nature, so to speak, almost to a certain point, because this is before you can alter nature. You just kind of had to like live in it, right?
Grass.
So if
This is really bothering me.
so exactly, right? So then, so if people were dying, and then they felt these emotions, that later on, like the explanations, like I think that's what part of like the beginning part of the mythology was. These are like universal questions. Like one thing that they all have in common is they at least all try to address these questions.
Yeah.
Like,
So
yeah.
do you? All right. You remember Planet Hulk?
Yes.
Remember the part about the little bug creature?
Yes.
And he was telling a story about Hulk. He's like,
Yes.
Hulk defeated death. And he's like, what are you talking about? Why did they call it? He defeated the Egg Smasher. Why did they call it the Egg Smasher? Well, to us, it's death because this is what is killing. This is
What killed
this is our predator. And so,
Oh, I see.
do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
So the allegory was this great warrior defeated death, right?
Yeah.
So now, and this is not to.
Are you going back into Ishmael for us here?
No.
No, I'm
Maybe.
I'm following you. No,
But-
this is good. Yeah, it's good.
But
Oh,
it makes me wonder, like, what are like, if we can take those type of descriptions, those type of allegories, and begin to reapply it to the stories that are being told, then what was death to these? What was death to our ancestors?
Yeah,
You
see,
know what I
so
mean? Because-
I think the idea must have had to evolve. Like
Yeah.
for example, here's one of the biggest reasons why we're in the situation that right now is because we've already, for the most part, taken care of the first 2 stages of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and now our only concern is that third top pyramid pillar of like, after you take care of your basic food, after you take care of your basic friendship and stuff like that, and you have all this time to think about, what do you do with that? And this is the thing that we've had to deal with more than any other generation of people that have ever been around. There have been leisure times before, but I mean, not to
that
the
leisure
degree
time,
today.
Just kind of go back to what Talon was
For us to
saying.
have issues, though, as a people, because we have so much leisure time.
There's that, but there's for thousands of years, there's also has been this compulsion to
Understand the
to
world?
create
create-
to create paradise.
Well, I think it kind of ebbs and flows. I believe that happens, but then all of a sudden things get out of balance, like the
Yeah.
cysts and
Yeah.
everything, and then all of a sudden you almost have a destructive rut. Yeah, there's an equilibrium back and forth and
Yeah,
everything.
so I mean,
Like even the presidential election is a perfect example of like who would have ever thought that after what happened with George Bush that we would be so willing to go back to someone who is inarticulate at the very least, regardless of policies. I mean, like there was a time when we were so embarrassed of Bush. Just every time he talks, it's like, fuck, he's making up words again.
The sad thing is, when it comes to Republicans, I'm starting to miss Bush.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. The ebb and
Bush
flow.
comes with Cheney.
Yeah.
No.
So what I'm saying, it just goes back and forth as far as
there's
almost
a
like a breathing, living organism,
There's
collectively.
yeah.
There's a double standard in Washington. Cheney shoots someone in the face that's like, oh, it's okay, it was an accident, he didn't mean it. Bill Clinton shoots someone in the face and they try to impeach him.
Right. Well, I think I don't think that shooting her in the face was the problem. It's that he lied about it. Because there's no law that said that you can't do that.
There.
was the late 90s.
Yeah, well, there's no. That wasn't breaking the law, though. The breaking the law was just the light part.
Actually, never mind. Let's not get into
Okay,
this.
so I want to start going into the technological now.
Okay.
I'll make another pause.